What's up, and welcome to a very special episode of First Geek for 11. This week, we are chatting about our top 5 things from 2024. We usually do this in the year that we're talking about, but here we are. We're having fun, and that's what counts. With me on this adventure, as always, from the Great White North, is Shaneen. How are you doing?
Glad to be back.
You're here.
Yeah.
We're all surprised by this, but we love it. It's a good surprise.
Yeah. And that other voice that you hear and face that you see is from West Coast, Best Coast. Emma, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. It's a typical Monday here in sunny California.
Nice. We are warming up after some very cold weather that I'm sure.
Yes.
We're
getting the rain.
Yeah. Before we get into our main topic for tonight, I do want to say, as always, you can find us around the internet as One Geek 411. Join our Discord server if you want to chat with us between episodes and let us know what you are excited for 2025 and what you are. What were your favorite things from 2024? You can also shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Watch live each Monday night around 6:45 Mountain Time and find the videos live on YouTube. And that's also where you can find our VODs, such as all of our previous year top 5s. And then you can also check out that Redbubble store. Before we get into our main topic for this week, I do want to say, if you're in chats, live chats, let us know what were your favorite things from 2024. If you have a top 1, a top 5, whatever it is, we'll call those out. Or if you, of course, have any thoughts about what we're sharing as we chat about our favorite things, we'll talk a little bit about the rules once we actually get into the top 5s. And then I also want to call out, we are also going to be taking a look at 2025 at the end of this. We're going to take a look at what are some things that we are looking forward to next year. And so, all of that said, Shaneen, what have you been up to?
Life is a blur. I won't spoil it. I'll talk about it in my top 5. But this past weekend, we had some friends over at our house for an Argentina potluck.
Nice.
And we ground and stuffed our own sausages, and by we, I mean my husband. But I was there, and they actually turned out so good. So that was very fun to try something new. And then always lovely when the food turns out.
Yes. It's the little things in
indeed
life, like when a
ideal.
plan comes together. And, Emma, what about you?
Well, let's see. It's been a busy week on my front. I've been enjoying reading the book club book. It's very delightful and not what I expected. And I just picture existing in some place like Ireland or Scotland as I'm reading it, which is great. Which will make sense eventually. I have gotten back into playing Stardew again in what little free time I've had throughout this week, as well as been doing some more doodling because that's a hobby that I've picked up for myself. And then this weekend, I played 3 different D&D/TTRPGs in the course of 2 days.
Let's go.
Which was a lot. Literally Saturday, I had like a 5-hour game that we started at like 10, and then we finished that, and then I was home for like an hour and a half, and then I went over to Cantrip, because there's a local artist who is releasing a supplemental book for a different system that I'm blanking on the name of, but it's a D6 system. And he was releasing like supplemental material for it, and so they were having like a release party thing where you could come and make a character and then play through a one shot with him. And it was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it was super cool. And I got one of his earlier materials, but it has this really fun art in it. And the author is John Cordosh. And the system, if I can remember, it's Toroki, which is a lesser known D6 system, but it has a bunch of really cool art styles and things. And
Yeah, that's sick.
anyway, it was a lot of fun to go to. And it's like each location is essentially exists within a floating bubble in space, and it's super cool. And there's a lot of like cyberpunk-y vibes and things to it. But that was a lot of fun on Saturday. Shout out to John. It was great. Had a blast. And then Sunday, which was yesterday, after church, I went to another beloved nerdy store called Geeky Teas in Burbank. And one of my friends is running a one-shot for the Crooked Moon 5e/2024 stuff. It just came out. I've talked about it a little bit. So we did like a session 0 type thing yesterday and hung out, and it was a lot of fun. But that all does mean that I was running around all weekend going to different D&D things. But it was also a lot of fun, and I just love that that's the kind of thing that I'm spending my weekends doing, is going to different D&D things. So that's been my week.
I think the theme of my week, my top 5, and potentially my 2025 looking forward to's is making Shaneen proud of me. So so I did a lot of reading this past week, and so some comics, some like audiobooks, and so I finished Jane Foster, The Saga of Valkyrie, which is about Jane Foster at like her time, ending her time as Mighty Thor, leading into her and going through her time as Valkyrie. And so I'd been reading that for a while and finally finished it this past week. Very cool. I love Jane Foster. Like she's right there. I don't know if it's actually, is this on? Yes. It is actually coming through on the stream as I have my like Mighty Thor behind me, protecting me. When I was streaming Pokemon Violet, like one of my Pokemon was named Mighty Thor after her. Like, let's go. And so I just like love this character, and one of my friends shares my love for Jane Foster, and she had recommended this to me. And so I went and read that. I also read The Caves of Steel by Isaac Asimov, which is like a 1950s sci-fi about like androids and stuff like that. And that was recommended by another friend. And so very interesting read. It's part of like a longer series. So we'll see if I read more. I probably will. But I enjoyed that a lot. It was only like a 7-hour audiobook, which was great. And then I read X-Men, The Dark Phoenix Saga, one of the like very classic X-Men stories that has been massacred on screen multiple times. And it was an interesting read. Like, I feel like it's a comic that has not necessarily aged great for a lot of reasons. But like, I just feel like that style of writing isn't always the best. There's some, as unfortunately you would expect from something written in 1963. There is some questionable subject matter in some specific places. But overall, I enjoyed that. And then I also finished One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, and started Two Twisted Crowns. And that's like the sequel to it. It's the Shepherd King series, and really liked One Dark Window. It was very good. I like the magic system. I like the characters a lot. Elspeth is a fantastic protagonist. And yeah, and I said today I started Two Twisted Crowns, and so I'm excited to see where the story goes. And yeah, so that was a lot of fun. Again, be proud of me, Shaneen. Um,
Proud.
So proud.
and
Even
then,
I'm proud of you.
Yeah. I'm up to 11 books so far in 2025. Like, and I'm working on 2 more. So we'll hopefully hit 13 by the end of January. And so, shout out to my local libraries. And so, and then in the world of video games, I finished the story and got the platinum for Dragon Age the Veilguard this past week. For a game that, like, I feel like the middle portion was a huge slog. Man, I loved where this game ended up and what happened with all of these characters and stuff like that. Like, it's probably one of my favorite teams in a Dragon Age game. And it doesn't necessarily compare to the Mass Effect crew, because I feel like the Mass Effect crew is just amazing, but like BioWare did a great job with these characters once they kind of got some time to shine. And so, yeah, definitely recommend. It was a very fun game. I played as a magic user, and so I was initiating electric boops the whole time. And so that was a lot of fun. But with that, hit us up. Let us know what you have been up to. And in chat, Sneaky says, One Dark Window, so good. I need to start book 2. You definitely do. But let's go ahead and jump into our main topic for tonight. We are going to be talking about our top 5 things from 2024. Initially, the presentation of this was that they were our top 5 geeky things. And then it just kind of morphed into like things that you liked from this past year. Or things that you did, or things like that. And so, as always, the first rule of a First Geek 411 list is that there are no rules. And so, have fun with it, be ready to party, all those kinds of things. Yeah. So we each have our 5 things ready to go. I should also say that these are always in no particular order. So sometimes what we will do is like, if we all have a video game, we'll all like talk video games and like go through that way. Other times we won't. So we're going to kind of just see how this goes. I'm going to also say for future Cameron, he might go through and put timestamps for each of these in the show notes. It will be a mystery if that actually happens. We will see how dedicated I am to this as I'm on PTO. And so, but it'll be a mystery. And so, so keep an eye out potentially for that. And so I say as I have not put timestamps on last week's episode yet. So here we are. But yeah, with that, let's go ahead and jump into it. Emma, why don't you kick us off?
This is in a ranked order / just for this one specific thing. Everything else is in no particular order. My top thing of the year is that I got a job, and a good job. So
even better.
I'm working for Warner Brothers, so that is definitely a number 1 slot. Everything else is in no particular order. I got a job, and I'm glad about that, and I'm grateful, and I get to pay for the bills consistently and reliably, and it's great, and it's nice to have a job, and a job that I like. So that is something that happened to this year that I am grateful about, and it was a job I was not expecting to get, but I did get it. So yeah, there's not much more to say about that.
Yeah, love that for you. So happy.
Yeah,
I'm so excited that that you were able to find something. And again, as you said, I love that it's for a company that like you want to work for and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's just like a random job.
It's great for the resume and for whatever future jobs I go into as well. Because it's not one that I'll stick around in forever, but it is one that like when I do eventually decide to go into something else, I'm like, I can put this on my resume and get reference letters from these people and know that it's a strong holding for me. So, yeah.
Nice. Shaneen, what is your first thing?
All right. In no particular order, I read a lot of really good books in 2024. My mom made me a super cute ornament of some of my top reads. But my number one book of the year was The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi by Shannon Chakraborty.
It's a good book.
So good.
Is there a place that people can go to hear us talk about this?
There is.
Wow.
Check out our book club on The Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi. Yeah, it's so good. Fully plunged me back into my pirate era. I just love it. We love getting to see an older protagonist. Just good.
Yeah. This is one that, like, I feel like we talk about this every once in a while when we talk about book club, but the general way that book club works is Shaneen, like, presents a handful of books to us, and then we, like, decide on the book, and sometimes we pick not great books, or not as great ones, and other times we just pick amazing stuff. And yeah, like, shout out to this book. Like, it was so good. And this is was probably one of the best books that we've done for book club. Like, aside
100%.
from The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, but like, but yeah, it's such a good book. Go check out that book club. It was a fantastic discussion.
Random, this is slightly related. What was the one about the two guys with the powers, and they had to, I think it was a Schwab book, and they had to, like, die in order to get their powers?
Yeah,
Vicious. Thank you. I have
the third one's coming out. # soon.
Great.
For me, I am gonna just gesture broadly at books. Kind of building off of what Shaneen put here, of, like, I've talked about my book journey a handful of times on this, where, like, I was maybe reading one book a year for fun. Like, when I was a minister, I would read for work. But, like, I wasn't reading fiction. I wasn't really doing any of that. And then once Shaneen and Emma joined the cast and we started doing book club, I would read 12 books a year, and it was the 12 books that we did for book club. And then I started working towards actually doing more and more books. And my goal for 2024 had been to read 50 books, and I hit 57. And so I'm like crazy hyped about this reading journey that I have been on. And with that, we'll give a shout out to Deputy Mike over in the YouTube chat. Asks, what's my favorite book? My favorite book was a book that we did this year for book club. And I read in 2023 as well, with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I actually just bought the book physically as well, so we're reading it again this year, everyone. Buckle up. And yeah, like, it was such an awesome year for that. Like, I, over on Cameron Plus Deanna, did a tier list of all the books that I read. And so, like, shouting out, like, S tiers of Invisible Life, Fragile Threads of Power, Adventures of Amina Al-Sirafi, Vera Wang's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers, House of X, Powers of X, First Lie Wins, and Next. Like, were all awesome reads. And, like, there was so many cool books that I read this year. And I'm so excited for 2025 and talking about all of the other books that I will be going through this year. Yeah, and again, shout out, go check out your local library, get those library cards.
Yeah.
And so it's a great way to get books, even like audiobooks and ebooks for no cost other than, your taxes. But, like, you already pay for them, you might as well get a library card.
Yep.
Let's head back around. Emma, what is a number 2 for this year?
You're not gonna do Shaneen first? Shaneen
We
came
can
before
loop.
me.
We can
I
loop
can
back.
do either.
Shaneen, what's your number 2 for this year?
Okay. Number 2. It had been announced so long ago, and then there was no news for the longest time. And we were like, is this real? Is this ever gonna happen? No, we're giving up. And then they started to release cast announcements, and we're like, well, maybe we'll see it at some point. And then suddenly they were like, Wicked is coming out. And then it came out. And then it was great. I was so
Right.
stressed about it. I did not know how it was going to go. And then, like, the opening notes of the first song started playing, and just, like, immediate goosebumps. And I was like, okay, you got me. I'm locked in.
Oh, you got me.
And it's so good. And I
It's
still haven't
great.
stopped listening to the soundtrack. And
So great.
I can't wait for part 2. And it's so good. It's so good. I'm debating going to see it for a third time.
Part
Because
2
it's
is
still
in
in theaters.
2025 list. So I am with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like this might sound like minimalistic or whatever, but like the craziest part of the Wicked movie is not just that it's good, but it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Like
It's fabulous. It's so good.
it is like such a good movie and adaptation, and like the fact that like it does like the first act of the musical so well, and like it. Yeah, again, I think that was the thing that blew me away. Of like, I'd expected to like enjoy it, and like and I've seen like the actual musical, but like seeing the movie, it's like it's such a bigger like appreciation for the franchise. Like, I'm so excited that like they nailed it, and I hope they nail part 2.
I have to say, when they announced Ariana Grande as Glinda, I was very skeptical with that announcement. So I was like, it's Ariana Grande. Like, that's not the casting choice I personally would go with. And I am happy to admit that she very much proved me wrong. And she killed it as Glinda. And that was absolutely the perfect casting choice for that. As well as for Elphaba. Like, both castings for the leads. Fabulous, and like, just like, you know, I was skeptical, and now I'm just like, yeah, like no one else could have played them on screen, as well as those two, aside from the original Broadway cast potentially, which I say for reasons. So, yeah, I loved it. Thought it was great. That's all.
Okay, Emma. Now we'll jump over to you for your number 2 for this
Great.
year.
My number 2 is that literally a year ago next week will be the 1-year anniversary of the Cantrip Candles D&D campaign starting, that I am in, and that has been one of the greatest parts of my year. I talk about it a lot on here and constantly, and it has really just been one of the greatest parts of my life for the past year, because it has brought me so many friends here in LA and has given me something to do every Tuesday night for the past 12 months. And it has even spawned off into another D&D campaign. So I'm now in 2 active D&D campaigns that aren't just sort of idling by. And it's all just a bunch of friends here in person who are just like, yeah, D&D, this is our bonding interest. And they're all just a bunch of nerds who are also, a lot of them are in film or TV or entertainment industry, which is great because they also understand that side of life. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I've got to go do an exporting thing. And then half the room is like, like, yeah, you get it. But it's really like been great and a fabulous part of my life, and is just the Christoph, the owner of Cantrip, was there on Saturday night when we were there for this book release, and we were talking with him, a couple of us, and he's like, yeah, I call your campaign the Team Red because y'all are just so tight and like such a fabulous campaign and a part of this community that like I wasn't expecting that out of starting a Tuesday campaign here, but it happened, and it's been so great to see. So like having someone else, let alone the person who like is essentially responsible for it all happening, be like, yeah, like it's turned into something that even I wasn't expecting, and it's something good, has been so great. So, yeah. D&D.
And for my number 2, I'm going to kind of build off of that for the a very similar discussion of like, again, gestures broadly at TTRPGs. Like,
the year of D&D.
Yeah, so like this was a great year for me in terms of games that I'm playing, of like getting ready to wrap up my D&D campaign, playing Candela Obscura, playing Pathfinder over on City on a Hill, and then playing some one-shots of Marvel Multiverse. It was a really good year for all of those. I'm looking forward to more of what 2025 is going to be for TTRPGs. We'll talk about that towards the end. But with all of that, like it was such a cool spot, and getting to like grow to know so many people. Like the TTRPG is the friends that we make along the way. And yeah, there's just been so many fun like memories and stuff like that. And there have been times where I think I briefly talked about this in one of our sessions or one of our episodes, where we had a time in a session that had probably what I feel like was the best like RP that like I have ever been a part of. And like having that moment that felt like epic and like super like cinematic, and everyone was on board, and the yes and all of that stuff was so great to be a part of, like having that experience, especially for an experience that was born out of like 2 lines in my notes. And then we kind of just like wrote it for this really great scene. And so, yeah, it's like, it's been such a great year for that for me. And yeah, I look forward to more of it in 2025. I'm going to go again because I haven't gone first yet. My number 3, everyone say his name. His name is Astro Bot. Like, let's go. Pivoting to like my first like actual like specific thing that is in my top 5. And this game is a gem. And we need to protect Astro Bot and Team Asobi and make sure no harm comes their way. Like, this game is the purest joy of video games. Of like, it is amazing gameplay, great like level design, great platforming, such fun stuff. And obviously like another big part of this is like the PlayStation references and like the different PlayStation levels, and getting to see their take on like God of War within like Astro Bot and see them like bring that over was super cool. And so, yeah, it was my game of the year for 2024. And I can't wait to see what this team does next. And I really hope that we get to see them like expand out this IP from something that started as like a VR game and then was like the free tech demo with the PS5, and then like now has a blown out game. I'm so excited for Astro Bot. And like I said, it is probably like one of the easiest game recommendations I've ever had with like no caveats. Like, I love The Last of Us, but definitely feel like I have to give caveats when I recommend that game to people. But like with Astro Bot, it's like, do you like having fun? If yes, gestures at Astro Bot. Like, let's go. And yeah, I'm so excited that it's gotten its due in a lot of the awards for 2024 and stuff. And so, yeah, so shout out to Astro. He's the best. Shaneen, what is your number 3?
All right. Coming in with my TTRPG content. This was my first time, really, beyond some random one-shots, DMing a campaign. I got a group together for the beta test of Daggerheart. And it was a lot of fun. It was very stressful. I am not a wing it kind of person. So it was a lot of planning and then a lot of winging it anyway and trying to figure out how to do that. But it was fun. It was a really fun group of people, some fun little characters, and hopefully we will get to play again soon. Yes.
Are you excited for full release for Daggerheart?
Yes, I just got gifted the rule book and stuff, the pre-order of it, so it will be coming to me when it comes out. I'm very stoked.
Nice. That's awesome. Em, what is your number 3?
My number 3. This one kind of stems off of the D&D thing, mostly because it has to do with the friends that we made along the way, in the sense that a lot of my friends from D&D are like artists in their careers, and by that I mean like people who draw, and so a lot of my friends have inspired me to start drawing, and so I got myself an iPad to work on digital drawing, because I have a lot of like practice in like Photoshop and similar apps because that's part of my own job. So that's one of my favorite things from the past year. Is it's a two-branch thing, is like having friends that inspire me to learn new things and teach myself new things, and then the other branch is that new thing has been like practicing drawing and like getting better at that, because that's something that I can then like bring into things like podcasts or D&D or whatever else in my life. Having a good time with my nephew, because why not? So that's something that I've loved a lot about this last year, has been like having friends that inspire me to do grand things in my free time with hobbies, and having that thing this year be drawing. So, yeah.
Shaneen, we'll bounce back to you for number 4.
4. Yes, I went on some fun trips this year, but it was super awesome getting to go down to Texas and see some family, but also meet some internet friends.
Yay!
Yay.
Like Cameron.
Yeah. So
yeah.
say we went to the Ren Fair as well, which was amazing. Like, yeah, it was an awesome time having you here. I'm trying to think what else. We went to bookstores. We went to like game shops. Like, we had a ton of fun. Yeah, I almost put Ren Fair as one of mine as well, and then I saw that you had added this, and I was like, okay, well, that's perfect. We'll have to get you back, and or get me up to Canada,
and or have me involved as well, because that would be
Yes.
fun.
Yes. Speaking of which, remind me, I have post-show chat for us kind of on that topic. So
Yeah.
okay, and then so for me, my number 4 is Agatha all along. I wanted to call out a TV show, and I also wanted to call out something Marvel, and of course this fits both of those bills in an amazing way. Catherine Hahn kills it in this as Agatha, getting to see the return. Aubrey Plaza is amazing, like as Rio. Like, oh, it's such an awesome show, and it does what I love when like superhero stories do, which is tell a story that is like low stakes to the overall world, but matters so much to these characters. And getting to have this like very personal journey for all of these characters was so much fun. And for a show that is like the lowest budget MCU TV show, like it looks amazing, the costuming's amazing, like everything is so good. And I feel like it has got to be one of those things where like the creatives all came together in the best possible way to produce this. And it's such a great like representation of like Marvel and its characters.
It's great. Great show. 10 out of 10.
Also, Year of the Witch between this and Wicked. So, like,
so much good stuff in that category.
Let's get into our final things for this year. Oh.
I need a number 4. I haven't done my number 4.
Emma, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is the TV show Arcane. Because I took inspiration from your having a TV show. And so my number 4 is Arcane. I watched it all over, there's 2 seasons, and I watched it over the course of like at most 5 days. And it's so pretty. The art style is amazing, the animation is amazing, the storytelling is fabulous. I never thought I would like a TV show that was based on League of Legends, but here I am, obsessed over it and ready to watch it all over again. I just haven't been able to because my life has been busy and insane. But yeah, that was one of those shows that 2 of my good friends like basically sat me down and forced me to watch, and it was the best thing they could have done. My best friend and I rarely talk to each other on the phone because we've known each other for over 20 years. So we just send each other memes. But like we sat there and would watch like 3 episodes at a time on the phone with each other, like commenting.
That's awesome.
Because she'd seen it already, and she was like, I'm gonna watch this with you because I need to see your reaction over FaceTime to certain events happening. And I was like, that must mean that this is a great show. So I'm gonna watch it just for you, Elizabeth. And it was great. So that was my number 4.
You know what? Since I forgot you, Emma, go ahead with number 5 too.
Yay, number 5. Okay. My number 5. This is a classic and a little bit of an obvious, if you remember the fact that this came out this year. But the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster came out. So that, of course, is going to be on my top 5. Because I got to replay it on the PS5, remastered with graphics updated for the PS5, which has been so fun. It really is just an excuse for me to play Horizon Zero Dawn again. Not that I really need one, and not that it's the most exciting top 5 in the world, but it's exciting for me because this all wraps into one thing. As I mentioned, my D&D Cantrip campaign has been coming up on the 1 year, and for people who have not heard it enough or haven't heard it at all, my character in that campaign is based off of Aloy. So having the remaster come out and having it be an excuse for me to replay it has really been also a moment for me to sit down and go, oh my gosh, my character Saphira really has grown a lot in her own way and has diverted a lot from that character inspiration, which has been a lot of fun to see because it's just cool to see how different experiences and the different levels of interactivity with that kind of thing can change character development, and it's just so fun. So that the remaster coming out has been exciting for me in multiple ways, even though it's not the biggest, grandest remaster to ever come out to the world. It's exciting for me because there's personal love with the game, as well as like getting to play it and be like, wow, my D&D character really has changed and is not as much inspired by this character anymore, but in the best way possible. So, yeah.
Okay, Shaneen, what is your number 5?
My number 5, and probably my biggest thing from the past year, the reason why life has been a blur lately. I started working at our local library at the beginning of last year, and then in September, went back to school to start my library and information tech diploma.
So exciting!
Yay! My life has been library past year, and will continue to be library forever.
Jokes on you, can't escape.
Yeah, very fitting for who you are, and we love that about you.
For me, I have an honorable mention just to kind of continue the combo. I started a new job this year as well. And so I didn't put that in my top 5, but also, again, just to keep the combo going. But for me, my number 5 is a new hobby that I picked up this past year that I'd been interested in for a while, and that's homebrewing. And so I specifically started making some mead, and it's been a very fun process. Getting to learn. I have plans to do some cider, like for my next batch that I'm going to make. I also want to try making some root beer and stuff like that. Like, a lot of these things are like so similar that like you kind of just like, it's just like changing out the variables, but like the result is something cool to drink. And so, making mead has been super fun.
I am stuck on this concept of making root beer because that was never something I ever thought about doing as a hobby. And now I'm intrigued.
Yeah. I have been like high level looking into it. And I don't think I'm going to do any in my next batch that I make, but like, that's definitely one of like my future goals is to start making my own root beer. Root beer is my favorite soda. And so like, if I can just make my own, like that would be awesome. And so it kind of gets around some of the problem that I have with brewing alcohol as well, which is it's hard to drink it quickly. And so I tend to have some like longer batches, which then is like, oh, I'd really like to make something new, but I don't have bottles or space. Whereas like brewing root beer would be a lot easier to drink more quickly or have when people come over and hang out who don't want to drink. And so, but yeah, very excited. It's so much fun kind of being like part of that community as well. Like there's so many like random ideas that people have. And yeah, I'm looking forward to like digging through recipes for next batch and stuff like that. And I'm probably going to do 2 meads and a cider in the next batch. And so I'm very excited. But that's going to bring us through. Oh, I should also say Shaneen got to have some mead when she was here. And so,
yeah.
But that's going to bring us through our top 5 for 2024. Listeners, watchers, let us know what your favorite things were for 2024. Of course, in the comment section, if you're watching the VOD later. But with that, we're going to do a final topic, which is what's something or some things that you are looking forward to in 2025. And so I figure instead of like rotating through these, we can kind of just have one person share the handful of things. Don't feel like it has to be multiple things. It can be one thing. It can be 5 things. I was telling Emma pre-show, I'm trying to not like word vomit all the things that I'm excited about onto the page. And so I've picked 3 and I'm going to hold myself to 3. So 1, Shaneen, be proud of me. For the first time in my life, one of the things that I'm most excited for this coming year is a book. And that is
Yeah.
Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. And so I am so hyped. I'm so excited for this book. And again, for probably the first time in my life, I have been super excited for a book releasing. And so, or like anticipating a book release. Maybe that's the better way to say that. There's been stuff that's like, oh, next month, Simu Liu releases his memoir. I'm excited for that. But like, it wasn't something that I was like 10 months out waiting for the cover reveal and stuff like that. And so I'm so excited for this book. Of course, the way that Schwab describes this is like, this is the book that was buried under Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And so telling that story like cleared space for this one to grow. And so I am so excited for this. On top of her just being my favorite author, but like the vibes and all of the stuff that she's used to describe this book, I am so hyped. Cannot wait for this book. The next thing, this kind of ties in with my TTRPG thing, and I talked about this in last week's episode, is last week I started my Marvel Multiverse tabletop RPG campaign. And so I've got a group of 4 players. We have created characters, and we are setting off on this adventure. It's a super fun, super eclectic group. I'm super excited to tell the stories that we're going to tell with these characters. And I'm really looking forward to everywhere that we are going to go. On top of, for the first time since COVID, having an in-person TTRPG. Like I have not, so like actually using minis for I've played like one shots, but like actually like using minis for a campaign and like having maps and like drawing on the dry erase board for stuff. Like I'm so excited for what this is going to look like for this campaign. And so on top of it just being
Isn't it
Marvel
nice when
Multiverse,
it's
which I'm hyped
tangible?
for. Yes, it's, oh my God, it's so much fun to play tangibly. Like I said, I'd done some one-shots. Like I'd done Daggerheart in person. I had both played and GM'd Daggerheart. I had played one-shots of Marvel Multiverse in person. But like actually having a campaign where we're creating our own characters and doing all of this stuff, I'm so excited for it to be this like this thing and get to be something that like, because welcome to Cameron's life where I'm an extrovert and I know a lot of people. This is also like me gathering all of my friends that would be into this so we can all have a lot of fun together. And so like, I just love this vibe and getting to spend time with these people. And like, one of the people is a coworker of mine. And so today at work, we chatted about the game and I am so excited for all of that.
Yeah.
And getting to have that experience. And so my third thing is Thunderbolts Asterisk as the final Marvel movie of Phase 5, our one team-up movie for this phase as well. Kind of get this rogue gallery of characters. And yeah, I'm really excited for this one. Part of it is I feel like I'm hoping to hope. Like we're kind of in that phase. Where like I really want this to be a fun movie and I want it to like redeem Taskmaster. But like I'm just like so excited for this like random bunch of characters and whatever shenanigans we're gonna get up to in this movie. And so and then as has been discussed before, I'm really hoping that we get a title sequence reveal at the end of the movie. That's what the asterisk is. And we're going to see that be something where we get to set up something interesting in the future of the MCU with this team. So those are my things. Emma, let's head on over to you.
Hi. Okay, I'm going to follow a similar list order. Number 1, I'm also aiming to read more this year. Yay. But my specific reading more is a specific goal in that I want to read the Odyssey. I've talked about this a little bit and I've started it already. The Odyssey is a very long book. So I've set this out to be my goals that like I want to finish the Odyssey by the end of the year. Because it's amazing and like a lot of literature for the past hundreds of years. has been inspired by and influenced by the Odyssey. And so, as someone in the world of storytelling, I want to read it again as not someone in 6th grade, basically reading the very compressed, edited, whatever it is, version that was designed for 6th graders to understand. I want to read it as an adult. So I'm doing that. I've started, and that is my big reading goal outside of book club. Because if I can read one book that's a big book, then I can do the rest of it. So that's my reading goal for this year. Tool, Wicked Part 2. Very excited for that. Mentioned earlier, we talked about Wicked Part 1 a little earlier. So good. I cannot wait for Part 2. A couple of my friends and I want to go see the play on Broadway / here in LA, because it's here right now. But I'm excited for Part 2 because it's going to be equally heart-wrenching, if not more painful emotionally.
Yep.
And I'm ready for it, but it's also going to be amazing because Part 1 was amazing. And I love how much practical stuff is in it. Like, there's so much about it that's amazing, both on the production side and on the just like storytelling side of like, it's actually a very good movie. So yeah, I'm excited for Wicked Part 2. And it's going to be great. And third, but certainly not least, I am so excited for having so much more D&D and TTRPGs in my life. I'm just excited to be going into a year 2 of like having friends who I hang out with on a regular basis and getting to play D&D with, and like just being able to do that kind of thing with them. And it makes me so happy to have that state of existence in my life now, because I'm no longer a graduate student who's up until 2 a.m. doing school things. So I don't have any social life. I have a social life now, and it has to do with D&D, and it's great. So I'm looking forward to having more of that this year.
Shaneen, wrap us up. What are some things that you're looking forward to in 2025?
I too am looking forward to Wicked Part 2. I cannot handle having to wait this long. I made the mistake of listening to the full Broadway soundtrack and then remembered like what all is in the second half, and I was like, I need it and I need it now.
Yeah.
There's that. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil as well for me. More V.E. Schwab. I need it. I need it. Also on the book front, I Am Made of Death by Kelly Andrew comes out this year, and I'm so excited. Just a little like ballerina horror monster stuff. I'm so stoked. What else? There's like, I feel like I'm just in a constant state of waiting for my animes next season to come out. And so I am just going to need all the animes to get on that faster, please. Also, Daredevil Born Again. I have not been excited for anything Marvel for like years. And now I am so scared. I'm mostly scared.
I am scared for you. Like, I'm hyped for this show, but like, I kind of referenced this like in passing earlier, but like for me, this was like Spider-Man No Way Home. Of like, if this movie is bad, it's going to crush me.
Yeah.
And I like when I watched the Daredevil trailer, I'm like, if this isn't as amazing as it looks, it's going to destroy Shaneen. Like,
I'm scared. I want it to be so good. Yep. We'll see. It's soon. Also, like just over a month.
Yep. No. It's hype.
But yes,
I'm-
other than that, for this year, just continuing to survive and work towards my goal of library.
It's a good goal to work towards.
Yes. In chat, Sneaky says, I am beyond excited for Daredevil. And so I would expect that we will be doing a Daredevil spoiler cast when that finishes, just kind of as a call out there, similar to what we've done for other shows. And so I'm very excited for that. I think with that, we've talked about the things that we've loved in 2024. We're talking about the things that we're looking forward to in 2025. I'm about to sneeze.
Bless you. In advance.
Okay, I think we're okay.
Great.
But with that, we're going to go ahead and wrap up our show, move over into our post-show discussion. But before we get into that, quick announcement. As we mentioned and has been posted in our Discord, which you can join, we are delaying our January book club for a study in Drowning by Ava Reed. And so stay tuned for when we're going to do that. We'll get together and discuss a super cool fantasy book that Emma referenced earlier. And then, as always, remember, mentioned at the top of the show, but you can find us around social media as OneGeek411. Check out that Discord server. Shoot us an email at 1stgeek411. Let us know your favorite things from 2024 and what you're looking forward to in 2025. Check out that Redbubble store. Watch us live on Twitch and YouTube. And then find the VODs over on YouTube where you can like, comment, and subscribe. Then you can find us on our personal social medias. I am Humar Whittle, now on Blue Sky.
I am prepared with an I in the prepared. I've been on Blue Sky for a while, as well as most other major platforms. Some are more inactive than others, but I'm there.
And I am Hoot and Howl Tales, TALES, on Instagram and Threads. For now, we'll see.
And it's been a great week.
Drink some water.
Read a book.
His name is Astro Bot.